What's up, guys? Welcome to Chasing Projects. I'm Jeff, and this is your SoCal fishing forecast for Thursday, November 16th. Quick look at our weather here. We're getting our first kind of little rainstorm of the year finally, at least of this fall/winter. And got a little bit of cloud cover on the horizon, but temperatures are still holding up here. And it looks like we're going to get back to some of that warmer weather later this week as well. So let's take a quick look at our wind model here. This is Wednesday night coming into Thursday. Still have that south wind from this storm that's passing through here. But as you see, as we get into Thursday, we start getting some really light fall wind conditions. This is the stuff that we're talking about having all fall. It's finally here. It seems like it's about a month late, but here we are. Really good conditions, and no real rain in the forecast for the foregoing several days here. So looks like as this thing passes through here, we're going to have some excellent sight fishing conditions. So if you're still looking, scratch around for a tuna or maybe a swordfish, here you go. This is going to be your opportunity here. And as we slide into next week here, speed this up, but we're going to get some of this offshore Santa Ana condition. And looks like it's going to be a little bit aggressive here. We'll see how it plays out. Right now, the marine forecast is looking pretty good. So other than tonight, Wednesday night, 20 knots, swell 2 to 5 feet, 13 seconds, which still isn't that bad, all things considered. And you'll probably still have a little bump on it here Thursday, but then going into Thursday night through the next several days here, looks really nice. So yeah, finally gonna get a chance to get a peek at this stuff if you haven't already. But our temps, they're hanging on. So yellow here, this yellow stuff is 66-ish, 67. But we got some of the 63 stuff that's starting to show up here. So be on the lookout. And then, as I mentioned, the chlorophyll is probably going to take a jump. Now, this is a 3-day, depending on how much rain we get. So this is kind of just what I'm seeing pop up here. But we're going to get some rain, so you're going to get a little bit of flush out of the rivers, right? And then you're going to get some of this offshore wind. So depending on how dirty this water gets from the rain and this wind, it could get green, especially along the shore here. I'm not saying it's going to turn the whole thing yet. It just doesn't seem like it's ready to do that. But we're definitely probably get some green water here as we fade into more wintertime conditions. But as of right now, 3-day, looking okay. 1-day, looking a little sharper on the edges. So we'll see how it plays out. But so far, still looks pretty fishable. And yeah, let's talk about what we got going on. Really, not a whole lot. It's the end of the season, as things wind down here. Last week, we really talked about there's a focus of bluefin tuna in particular between the 289 and the 43, and they're still around pretty similar area, mainly around the 43. You see them a little bit further west by the 81, basically the San Clemente Basin here. If I switch this to bottom detail, but you have a nice sharp ridge here, and it kind of wraps around, and then you got deeper water here in the middle. So this is the San Clemente Basin, and yeah, that's where they've been. So see how it plays out here, but really there's not a whole lot else going on. You might see some fish pop up here and there. Again, not a whole lot of volume, but what is left has been up here in this area. The guys are still getting some bluefin up north, so the season's not completely over yet, but we just don't really have a lot to talk about in particular. So I want to kind of do a little bit of a season wrap up here. If we don't get another reporting this year, we'll just kind of see how things go. But if you haven't seen anything go on social media, it's been a pretty darn good year for swordfish. Really, since the deep drop started to take flight in SoCal, 2019 was a pretty good year for sword fishing. 2020 we got into COVID, really wasn't good at all. 21 sucked, and last year was not great either. Not saying that you couldn't catch a fish, but the bite is very particular, and it's on when it's on or it's not. And this year seems to be significantly better than the last few years. And I'd say it's comparable to 2019, if not maybe a little bit better from what I've seen. But yeah, so why do us idiots obsessed with swordfish? Well, 250 pounder was caught the other day with on one of the bite charters. 11-hour fight on 26 pounds of drag. These things, they never give up. They're just the meanest gladiator of the sea. That's the ultimate sportsman catch in my book. Right there with the Grander Marlin. Yeah, these are probably a little easier to catch than the Grander Marlin, just because the numbers are a little bit more better. But when it comes to this relentless gladiator of the ocean, swordfish is king for sure. So pretty rad. Check that out. If you've never deep dropped for a swordfish before, I think the Bite Guys had one open party spot left. Hit up Brandon or Wes or any of those guys. They've been doing it for a while. Vinny's pretty good at it too. So, of all the guys out there, this is just not a plug, but just from experience. The guys are gonna give you an opportunity to fish that stuff on an open party trip. At least to learn something. You may not catch a fish, like I said, they're pretty hard to come by. But at least you'll learn how to fish for them, where to fish for them, why to fish for them, what to look for, all that kind of stuff. In person, it's a lot different, especially when you're fishing 1,000 feet down with 6 to 10 pound weight. So it's not for everybody, but if you like kind of hanging out on a boat on a nice day, watching the tip bounce or a buoy, then yeah, I would definitely give it a shot if you're interested in trying to fish for the gladiators. But I wanted to go over a couple totals here. This is put on by 976 Tuna. Clarence puts this stuff together. I don't know where he gets all of his numbers from. Some of his dock landings, but it seems to be pretty in line with how the seasons go. So this is yearly totals by species. And yeah, I'm not counting Big Eye here, but everyone has been pumping up the albacore. Here's the real number. 4 were reported commercially, or at the docks, so to speak. Sure, there's probably more than that down here in SoCal, but generally speaking, 3 more than last year, or 2021. So not the numbers that we saw down here, 2003, 208,000, but you can tell where the trend went, and it's pretty much stayed that way. So this is why I don't pump up albacore. Let's talk about, well, the almighty bluefin tuna. Pretty good year for bluefin, if you ask me. And yeah, looks like the best ever. 78,000. Pretty darn good. Better than last year, better than 2021. Really, when the big one showed up 2015, so even compared to those smaller fish years, we're having a pretty much historic bluefin year. And what else can we talk about? Let's talk about Dorado. I think this year was pretty good, but definitely down from last year. What does the chart say? Definitely down from last year. So last year, I think, was the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen when it comes to Dorado. Just sheer numbers. So yeah, overall, pretty good year. Can't complain about that. Let's talk about yellowfin tuna. I personally think this was a poor showing for yellowfin this year. The last 2 years really hasn't been particularly great. And yeah, it's been dwindling. COVID was actually pretty good. And the year before that was even better. So there you go. But yeah, what can you do? The bluefin made up for it. And then the last one I cover is yellowtail. I think it was absolutely dreadful for the yellowtail this year, especially at the islands. Garbage, all-time lows. So when I was telling you guys the bypass San Clemente Island, there you go. Island fishing for yellowtail, utter garbage. I guess also I'll touch on is white sea bass. I guess that's still one more we can look at. white sea bass. It was pretty good this year. Not as good as last year. 2021 was pretty knockout. We didn't really get that wild Channel Islands bite for like 3 months in a row. We just didn't really see it. We had like one good month. We had one good month at Santa Barbara Island. Not a whole lot of Catalina this year, so I really think that's why you saw that dwindling numbers. But yeah, what are you gonna do? Good fishing. Things I wanted to try this year that I talked about. I talked about pulling skirted bullet lures for bluefin back in April. First trip, hooked a Dorado and a bluefin, so they work. Not a lot of fish caught on Mountain Max this year. In SoCal, a ton caught up north, San Francisco. It seemed like those fish like to bite them a little bit more. So when something's not working, you gotta switch up your technique. And skirted lures work around the world, like I mentioned before. So why won't they work here? Definitely gotta switch up your game. Can't go to the same honey hole with the same technique every day. You gotta switch it up. The other thing I wanted to try this year was the noodle rod. I didn't catch a big fish on it yet, so personally not fully convinced. I still like the rail rod, and yeah, jury's still out on that one, but it's been fun so far. We'll see how it goes next year. But that's it for this week, guys. Be safe out there on the water if you choose to get out. Maybe you can find a fish or two, and maybe we'll see you next week. Looks like we got some good weather, so if we got something to report, I'll put up probably one more report. And I'm not saying you can't go out and find a fish here in December. You never know. But sending you out there to chase a wild goose chase is not my thing. So it's like, tell how it is. So that's it for this week, guys. Be safe on the water, and we'll see you next week. Cheers.
Hey, thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and check out our website and online store at chasingprojects.com. And make sure you share the stoke.